All right, it's late, but we're live again today. OT sucks. Really sucks. Having to work the weekends is not fun. Don't recommend it whatsoever. And I gotta close something out here. There we go. On the agenda for today, a little bit of news on the indie stuff, a little bit of news on anime stuff, and a couple of bigger topics that caught my eye this week. Things that I felt were at least interesting to talk about or seem somewhat important. So I guess that first thing to do would be to get right into it. So starting off the night, we have a bit of a I don't know if you would say like breaking news, but there was all the stuff involving Eric July and the International School of Ministry that happened this week. Now, it's an interesting situation to watch it all unfold, and who knows how expensive this is going to be and how much this is actually going to affect the guy. But it's pretty clear right now that the International School of Ministry wants to make this about money and nothing else. If you're really looking for all like the fine details, I suggest you go to Eric July's channel or the Ripaverse. I forget the Ripaverse channel. I forget which one it was actually posted to. But the bottom line is that the International School of Ministry has continued on with their lawsuit. They have added more pressure to the resolution, and it really just makes it seem like what they want is the money from Eric July more than anything, because you can look at any number of different ISOMs that are out there. A lot of groups use that acronym, but none of them have been given, and none of them have had an issue raised. Why? Well, because they're non-profits. Nobody gives a shit. Then, of course, you have and I mean, like, it's not like you can't have two brands with the same name or what have you. It's not like there aren't things out there that exist using the same name. I mean, he brings up Sonic, like Sonic's the restaurant and Sonic the Hedgehog, and the similarities between the two, and they exist. And this is turning into this huge issue of copyright, and it's kind of been interesting to me because it's one of those things that proved I needed to do a little bit more research in on like the copyright stuff and the trademark and all of that, because a lot of this was new to me as well. Either way, however you want to look at it, regardless, use all the segue words. However you want to slice it, it just looks like a very stupid lawsuit. And I won't get into all the drama and all of the talk about how all of this started. There's plenty of that out there. If you want to know more about it, go check out what Eric July has had to say about it himself. Get it straight from the horse's mouth. Is that how that saying goes? It's ridiculous to watch all this stuff happen. Honestly, it's pretty insane. First, there was also that Eric July and Nick Rekieta stuff that was going on. Didn't really care about that. It was just two content creators sort of beefing, quote unquote. And I don't really care much about that. At least not as long as it doesn't pertain to the actual like creation of fictional material. If it ain't two creators beefing about a comic that one made, I don't care. I don't care. Well, we got other topics, so I guess I could just move straight on in to the next one. Hold on. This is an awkward transition. Here we go. Here we go. Something that I thought was kind of funny that came up was this South Park parody, and because it's a cartoon and stuff, I'm not particularly a South Park fan, but what they did was admittedly pretty funny to me. They basically just went the whole DEI method with it.
New exclusive event with all your favorite South Park characters. There's Cartman.
I had explosive diarrhea all night.
Stan.
Dude, school is going to be so awesome today.
Butters.
Oh, hamburgers.
And oh my god, they killed Kenny.
I like big boobs.
How does this even make any sense?
It makes perfect sense. I think the problem is you. South Park, new exclusive.
So it basically just like lampoons the entire idea of all this representation stuff that's been going on and all of the swapping and all of that. I love it. Again, not a huge fan of South Park, but they're pretty much hitting the nail on the head with everything in that promo there. I mean, you have this idea that you need to replace everything with like representative characters, and then the fans are the ones who are the problem when they say, hold on, wait, this isn't what we signed up for. It's goofy shit. It's goofy shit. And the fact is, more and more people are starting to, react to that. And there was some more Director X stuff that happened with Robin Hood. Now he's, trying to throw hands with drunk 3PO, whose book I still have and need to do a review on. Oh boy. People keep wanting to inject their own politics into this stuff. And it's getting really annoying. Well, it's been really annoying, but it's getting to the point where I'm just like, I'm so sick of it. I really do want to just start raging about it. It's a bunch of unnecessary BS. And I have another topic to cover in the later end of this. But it's kind of related to all of this DEI inclusivity stuff. And I want to tell you that all these industries are booming, that they're doing just fine, that diverse and inclusive stories sell. I think that was the line. The truth is, nobody cares. Nobody wants them. It's killing comics. And if you think they aren't dead, well, I have something interesting here to prove my point. Thanks to All Caps Comics for this one. If it'll load. There we go. There we go. If you can't tell, this is the post in question. Jason Fabic, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Jeff Johns, Lamont McGee, Francis Manipal, Brad Meltzer, Peter J. Tomasi, and Michael Jute form own company, Ghost Machine. So they're all leaving DC. I don't know if they're all DC or not, but they're all leaving their companies to form their own company. And that basically took all of DC's remaining superhero talent. So tell me that comics aren't dying. That the big two aren't getting butt fucked by manga right now. By the way, still reading Claymore. Absolutely fantastic. Third volume really hit me right in the feels, that one. The fact of the matter is, people just don't tune in to these kinds of comics anymore. And it's not that they're getting burnt out by comics or superheroes. It's the fact that they're getting burnt out by all the bullshit. Because, I mean, this shit still sells. Indie stuff still pushes. Eric July made it huge with his first comic book. It isn't just that people are sick of superheroes or sick of comics or sick of Marvel. They're sick of the bullshit that came with it once it got big and successful. You know, I've been thinking I need to find a co-host for this show. Someone I can talk to, bounce ideas off of. Someone who can help me along with this show, because I have way too much time to kill on my own as it is, and I can go through these subjects really fast, but what I really need to do is work on pacing myself better. So yeah, I have an article pulled up here for this thing that I was talking about, this Ghost Machine, and their sort of mission statement is pretty interesting. New creator-owned and operated media company Ghost Machine launching in 2024. Image Comics is set to publish comics for creator-owned and operated media company Ghost Machine. I'm interested in what they have going on here because I read this article before starting this up. And like I said, they have some interesting objectives with this. The creator-owned comics landscape is growing today. As it was revealed at New York Comic Con, a new outfit of creators has been announced called Ghost Machine, comprised of creators including, we've already read all these names, the company's comics will be published through Image Comics. Okay. Very standard stuff, it seems. The company plans to announce additional talent in the months ahead. Oh, so there's even more people who are getting in on this and, leaving their big companies, including one major superstar creator. All creators will be exclusive to this company after their comics are completed for other committed projects. Now, it was particularly our ambition for Ghost Machine is to push beyond just superheroes. All right. Introducing new genres, characters, and shared universes. Okay. Completely co owned by all the creators involved. We see this as the future of how creatives will work and retain creative control and meaningfully participate in success like never before. Said the Ghost Machine founding creators joint statement. Our passion is for the magic of graphic storytelling and the emotional resonance of compelling characters. But we are not just a comic book company. We are we are the first wholly creator owned and operated media company of its kind, born out of a desire to create and succeed together. So what I think is cool about this is that one, they're working on a very large shared universe, probably going to be something along the lines of, say, Rippaverse, Marvel, DC, which makes sense considering all of these guys are pulled from previous places. Cool. I actually like it. We see this as a future of how creatives will work and retain creative control and meaningfully participate in the success like never before. That's interesting because that could cause some issues depending on how things are going. Because what happens to licensing then? Does the company control licensing or does the creator control licensing? I don't know how that works. But what really strikes me most is that they specifically state our passion is for the magic of graphic storytelling and the emotional resonance of compelling characters. Oops. So they're actually interested in telling good stories, if this is to be believed. You see, the issue I have with this is everyone can just say shit. Everyone can talk about how impactful it is, but I will point out in their favor that this isn't just about, oh, well, we want to be diverse and inclusive. I have no idea what they're planning to do with this. This is like, again, this stuff is proving to be the nail in the coffin for the big two. You had massively successful comic book rendition, or you had a massively successful comic book campaign going with those two. And then after just barely surviving bankruptcy, the both of them, they sold out to corporations. And the corporation, and then the rot started leaking. That's pretty much how it happened. You got people who didn't take things seriously, who came in and shat all over your favorite characters because they wanted to be a Hollywood screenwriter. And they needed to prove just how much they could ruin your mythos so that they could get in and ruin even more mythos in Hollywood. These companies took on people who didn't care about the characters, who only saw it as a platform to further themselves. And that's it. That is honestly, truly it. Unfortunate as it is, these people really just wanted themselves. And I keep saying this in these streams, but it's just the sad truth. The Connor Kent stuff that I'll be covering later here is just another one of those things. Another one of those hilariously unnecessary touches to a story. And it's just kind of interesting because with all this talk of all the Iron Age and the independent stuff, you have guys like Anvil now highlighting indie creators and stuff. Like that sector is really starting to thrive. There are tons of people putting out tons of good projects, and honestly, it's expensive to get in on it because I mean, these aren't cheap projects. But they're good, they're fun, they're actually like engaging, entertaining comics. I've read some of the newer stuff from DC and Marvel. It sucks. It's nothing compared to stuff like this. Or this. Seriously. The indie sector is taking over. And while the big two still do have Hey, Vinzinger. Nice of you to join. Do I think Latinos who demand Latino representation ever been to Latin America? That's an interesting question. My honest to God answer, as some generic ass white guy from bumfuck Illinois, I don't think so. Because every person I know, or every Latino I know, and there's plenty of them in my area, who has actually been to Mexico, they're rad. They're cool people. They're fun. They don't care about that shit. They don't. And the only people who I have ever seen advocate for that kind of stuff are people who grew up in America fed by identity politics. My Spanish teacher in college was that way. She brought up the whole Latinx thing, and the couple of Latino guys I was sitting next to who were in the class just to get the easy credits cringed. They legit winced at the mention of Latinx. It was awesome. So yes, those guys are cool. But yeah, I mean that kind of hits on part of what I'm saying here is it has entirely become an American issue, and we had the whole thing with the writer from the writer of My Dress Up Darling. Why can't I remember that? The writer of My Dress Up Darling was accused of doing blackface because Marin Kitagawa got a spray tan. And she basically told these people to go fuck off, is what she told them. It was awesome. She's like, it's not my fault that Americans are so obsessed with race. And I just got to say, it ain't Americans. It's the American left that's obsessed with race. And all this talk of race just makes me actively want to have less and less to do with race. So yeah, it's like you want to inject all of this stuff artificially into these creations, and then you're going to complain when the project suffers because it's no longer the same as what people used to love about it. That's why the MCU basically rotted from the inside out. That's why Marvel Comics rotted from the inside out. That's why DC is suffering too. It's because this stuff was artificially injected into all of these projects. And that's why anime and indie are number one. Go indie, go Iron Age, go anime, go manga. I could hold on. Buy more manga. I got hair in my mouth now, thanks to that. Starting to learn that these types of Latinos have never been to Latin America, which makes me want to know why these Latinos don't want to visit Latin America. Because America's the greatest goddamn country on this planet. It's God's gift to Earth. If you want to leave America, you're a rotten commie. It's just as simple as that. I'm kidding. Traveling is fun. Unfortunately, I've never been outside of the country. It's kind of rough. But I do want to go. Japan, Korea, Germany, England. I'd love to visit all of those places. I've had friends and families who have gone outside of the country and gone to like Latin America and all that. But they were doing mission work and voluntary medical aid and stuff. So, yeah. It's just sad to see that these people like aren't going to learn their lesson with Marvel comics and stuff. It's hilarious. And they'll keep trying to inject these issues that are absolutely toxic to fiction into the projects that they get handed. It ain't going to work, no matter how many times you try it. And you know what else ain't going to work? The next thing on the list to cover. The big one that has everyone coping. Where is it? Oh, there we go. I have so many tabs open. This shit. I don't think I need to like play this trailer because like the first half of it is all just nostalgia bait. And then we get to this. Okay, volume's low. Like at the very least, the music is kind of cool. But I've never really been a huge fan of like Akira Toriyama's designs for like aliens, like the grand. Oh, that's a lot of CGI. If you don't know what's coming, and you're a Dragon Ball fan, one, I question how you got through the media without, seeing this, and two, I'm sorry, but now you know how we Naruto fans feel about live action Naruto. Are you ready for somehow Dragon Ball GT returned? I'm going to let this play a little bit longer. Here we go. Okay, so let me point this out. Dragon Ball Super manga has been going for at least 2 more arcs after the Tournament of Power. There is Moro, and then the Granola arc. They have 2 whole arcs they could have gone with, but instead, Toriyama decided he was going to kneecap Dragon Ball Super, which I actually did like. It's not as good as Z. Its storytelling certainly isn't as strong. Toriyama decided to kneecap Super to give us crying, screaming, idiot little kid versions of all our characters. because that worked in GT. See, the only thing GT has on top of this shit, this way, it's over here, is the fact that at least GT had mostly adult characters. It also had Biker Boy Vegeta and his mustache, which was it was something else. Also, Vegeta getting butt hurt because his daughter calls him a dweeb. Sometimes, for the life of me, I just can't tell what Toriyama is thinking. Like, you're gonna repeat the thing people didn't like about GT? I didn't even finish GT, it was so bad. I got all the way up till like the middle of like Super Saiyan 4 versus Super Saiyan 4 Goku versus Baby Vegeta, and I'm just, ugh. More and more, I feel like Dragon Ball just needed to end after Z. But like, I thought Super was okay. I did not like GT. I think some of the Super movies were actually kind of good. The Broly movie, rad. I actually own that one because it's rad. It's like probably my favorite bit of Dragon Ball right there. The animation for that is just fantastic. But you basically get your power pull extend. So yeah, GT2. That's what Daima is. I genuinely do not understand what they think they're doing. And it's been kind of a rocky road for Super for a long time. See, Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z are hella beloved. They're some of the biggest like titles in anime. Super, it's super hype, but the storytelling kind of sucks. And the transformations aren't really as awesome. Animation's pretty good. Got some really hype fights. But it's not as good as Z. The Broly movie, fantastic. Absolutely recommend you check out the Broly movie if you're just in for the flash, the hype, and the action. Perfect for it. Dragon Ball Superheroes. No, I actually kind of enjoyed it. It's very stereotypical Dragon Ball, and sometimes in a bad way. And its writing, honestly, is not all that great. But because it focused more on Gohan, all right, I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. I did not like the 3D animation. Honestly, probably one of the weakest sections of Dragon Ball I'd ever seen. GT. Yikes. Nothing makes sense. Nothing's good. I mean, Super Saiyan 4, but again, nothing makes sense. And then you have Daima. You're really scraping the bottom of the barrel. It's a very interesting situation that Dragon Ball fans find themselves in. Because I don't see anyone defending that. And the one person I saw live tweeting the whole thing was talking about how dog crap it looked. It's an interesting creative choice, much like the next thing I'm going to be talking about here. A little Iron Age anime that has come up. So I recently discovered that there's a project out there. And this one is a very, very interesting project to me. And it's not so much based on the fact that, like, I'm interested in the show, which I am. Seems like it has a strange presence, but who's producing it and how? And who's involved in it? Angel Studios doing an anime. Now, that's something I never thought I'd ever say. But the fact is, they're trying to crowdfund this Bible themed anime, I guess you could say. It's all about, like, Nephilim and stuff. And I guess I could play the trailer, but fact of the matter is, they kind of seem like they're going all out on this. They're doing 13 episodes, which I mean is about half a cour. Yeah, see, influenced by Genesis 6, exploring themes like identity, rebellion, faith, and redemption. Yada. See, the thing I want to point out though is they actually got some people who are recognizable. So if you don't know Johnny Bosch Young, you probably don't watch English dubs. But this guy is the main character, Kaneda, in Akira. He is Ichigo Kurosaki. He is Vash the Stampede, among other things. He's also in Persona, Final Fantasy, and Devil May Cry. This guy's fairly popular as a voice actor, and not a bad one, might I add. Hey, thanks for showing up. I appreciate it. I mean, then you have Christina V, who's someone I only know through her music stuff she does on Spotify, basically just covering anime intros in English. Matt Lanter, who was in Star Wars The Clone Wars as Anakin, and apparently Aquaman in a Justice League. And James Arnold Taylor, who is apparently Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars The Clone Wars. So never in my life did I think I would utter the words Bible-themed anime. Ever. But here I am talking about this shit. And honestly, like, as far as the trailer went, I didn't think it was like, I don't know. It's impressive for being a crowd-funded independent project. That much I will say. But if we were talking like comparing it apples to apples to another cartoon or anime, I would say it's just kind of there right now. Who knows? Maybe things will change. They are doing their crowdfunding now. They're running a limited campaign. And if you're interested, you're welcome to check it out. They have a bunch of different tiers you can sub at, and I already pitched in some money that I'm completely willing to lose if this thing doesn't pan out. Oh, hey there to you too. I was kind of wondering when you'd show up. You're here at every one of them. But yeah, I mean, if it gets through, if it gets made, I am definitely going to cover it because Iron Age anime being a thing. Whoever would have thought? Done by, of all people, the studio that pushed Sound of Freedom into the theaters. gotta close out some tabs here. In other news, one random little thing to add. Interesting. Because I may or may not have bought something. I may or may not have made a stupid purchase for Halloween. But back to what I was saying. Makoto Shinkai Suzume returns to theaters in October. Well, it's already October. I'm retarded. On the 27th. Which, I mean, the last time I saw a movie return to theaters, it was Morbius. And we all know how that went. The difference is here, Suzume was actually a really good movie, and it was something that fans actually wanted. But Shinkai basically has like an army of stans, and I won't deny being one of them, who absolutely love the shit out of his movies because of Your Name and because of Weathering with You. And Suzume actually was a pretty good one, in my humble opinion. I actually think it's probably his best as far as like the things he's made. It's I don't know what they were thinking with the Morbius shit. Like you can these corpos are so out of touch. They saw the glazing and thought people actually like enjoyed the movie. They thought they had actually like accidentally created some sort of cult classic shit. But I think it's time to induce some cringe. So we are going to talk about one of my favorite things that people do: bastardizing characters. So this comes thanks to Von Klaus, who I just covered. That I discovered this thing, and I actually found the document that I'm going to read through here. But basically, this person, Magdalene Visaggio, decided that they were going to pitch an idea for a trans Connor Kent, a trans Superboy. It seems you've heard of this, huh? Yes, Superman. It's ma'am! And I read through this just briefly. They have some very interesting things to say about it all. So let's go to this one, right? Yeah, here we go. Skyrocket. It's quite an interesting name. Either way, it goes into all of this talking about how like Connor Kent developed a small sort of fan base because of Young Justice. Good cartoon. But he never really found a place in comics. Okay, can't speak to that. Never really was huge on comics. I watched a lot of the cartoons and movies, but yes, pretty much. It's one of those things. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna get into this. So Connor Kent is in a weird place. Yeah, because you aged up John Kent and turned him into Superboy, which basically took away Connor Kent's whole role. He was originally created for the reign of Superman. Connor's destiny as Superman was always at the core of his character, but perhaps due to embarrassment at sheer 90s toot of it all, Connor has spent the last 30 years struggling to find a foothold in DC Comics and has seen his concept and his continuity continually reinvented as he served as a leader of various teenage supergroups and even founded a devoted fan base in Young Justice cartoons. But Connor has largely been relegated to being the Jason Todd of the Super family. Oh yeah, that guy's around. Maybe we should use him. It's only going to get worse from here. Basically, this person is going to pitch insanity. So this whole thing basically talks about this section here. I'm not going to read through the whole thing. Talks about how Connor Kent came to be and how he feels like he needs to be something other than Superman because he doesn't like living in Superman's shadow. And now that he doesn't have to live in Superman's shadow, what does he do? I don't know, maybe become a hero of his own? This one starts to go into like, now they time travel into the future with with Connor Kent's half brother clone thing, who's because Connor Kent is, part Lex Luthor, part Clark Kent genetically. They're technically like the one who's more Superman is Connor Kent, and then the other one is more Lex Luthor, and they basically go to the future to fight a bunch of like the descendants of Superman, so they're all part Kryptonian, and it becomes a huge issue, and they prove like they're better and all of that, and then they discover that nobody knows who Superboy is or Connor Kent. Yeah, here's the Superman 5 and the Dr. Krypton. I love the use of language here. 6 bone rattling issues. The only bone you're rattling is the one beneath your skirt, ma'am. Life in Dripping Springs. Where's the part? Oh yeah, the Kryptonian transformation chamber remade her as in this new image. Can we just talk about how this character looks like a fat middle-aged man shoved into a tight suit and given tits? And the knee pads. Why does a Kryptonian need knee pads? If there's something that can hurt a Kryptonian, knee pads ain't gonna help. I also love how like they didn't even try to make it like passable in the design. They didn't even just straight up make it a chick. They had to make it look like a dude with tits. From a storytelling perspective, I believe this is as natural a move as Iceman's coming out. You mean the one that I mean, they already have a trans member of the Bat family. Trust me, the new Wonder Woman comics that are coming out, I've seen panels, previews. They look like shit. It's all like this retarded, like anti-American, like America actually has this like shadow king who hates Wonder Woman and he represents the patriarchy. And there's this line in there that goes, "You say I am a fool because I am a girl, but I think that those who call girls fools are fools themselves. That's the kind of people writing this stuff. From a story perspective, I believe this is as natural as coming. The whole dynamic I've been describing in this document is one of struggle to secure a sense of self, and it's just incredibly trans. I love that language right there. It's just incredibly trans. All right, let's play a game. When someone talks like that, you know that shit's going to get wild. It's not really a game, is it? I had something. He's had an identity crisis revolving around his origins before, but none which led to meaningful, lasting change, all while dealing with perpetual rage problems so common to closeted trans women. Is Victoria October from Batman? I don't know. Connie always, as a trans woman, I need to make clear that Hey, do you remember this language from last week? When we were talking about Leslie Headland as a queer woman, as a queer girl, as a queer filmmaker. As a trans woman, I need to make clear that this is very common, and it's not a story people tell in the media very often. There are countless trans folk who finally put it together, finally connect those dots post-adolescence. Sending Connor on a quest for personal identity would absolutely shake this stuff loose. The person who comes out the other side would be meaningfully different no matter what, and forcing her to reckon with herself instead of with legacy provides stronger context. All right, I'm going to close this out. From a sales and editorial perspective, this has some major benefits. First, it distinguishes Connor from the rest of the super family in a really big way. It elevates him by offering a wide range of new stories. You basically get the idea. You get the idea. I could sit there and read and pick apart every freaking thing, but I'm just going to sum it up. So, firstly, you can have Connor Kent grapple with identity and not have it be about him being trans. You can do that. Actually, I've been working on a whole story, and the theme of it is kind of along the same lines. A guy who doesn't feel like he knows his place in the world, and through some rather miraculous circumstances finds himself in another world. And what that whole story leads to is sort of him growing up and learning to be more mature, more responsible, to define his own life and all of that. The issue here is that this isn't just about finding your identity or finding your place in the world. This person wants to inject their identity into it. And I mean, if you saw the person's profile, you can tell that this is pretty much just a self-insert. They're putting their problems, their story, and themselves front and center in a Superman story. And I went through the quote retweets on this one. It was kind of funny. And there were all these like Twitter weirdos complaining about, oh my God, we could have finally had this. We could have been eating so good. And I'm guaranteeing you that this comic probably wouldn't have sold well. Because here's what happens when you do this kind of stuff to a not very popular character like Connor Kent. The already sales plummet. It's just what happens. Actually, I'm going to pull that up again here really quick. If I can. Figure out. Hold on. Oh, nope. Wrong thing. Man. What the fuck? I screwed up. Oh well. I wanted to pull it up again to go into some detail. The thing is, yes, trans issues are at the forefront of everything. Do you want to know why? Because people are sick of them. Nobody wants this in their entertainment. They don't want modern issues. They don't want this. Heels versus babyface rant applies. The reason we want to go to comics, to fiction for escapism, is because we want to briefly separate ourselves from the world. Now, there are times where you can find some like really sort of like impactful, inspiring stuff that helps you through an issue. That's a different section of fiction altogether. The big part of fiction is escapism. That's why this matters. People want something to relax to. They want something where they can separate themselves from the world, get away from all the issues and the insanity and the chaos and the hate and the violence, and just enjoy something. They want to see a hero save the day. They want to see a good story. They want to see Superman acting as a beacon of hope, as a symbol of justice. They want to see Batman fighting crime and saving people. They want to see Spider-Man being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, not the next Green Goblin. Not accidentally murdering another hero because he got cucked for the umpteenth time. This is hijacking a character. Now, not a very popular character, mind you, but hijacking a character nonetheless. This person has taken a character and turned it into their own personal agenda platform. They want to talk about trans issues. So instead of creating their own character, they've taken one that already has a following and has turned it into them. Not everything has to be about your identity, about your sexuality, about being transsexual, about being black, or any of that. If I went around introducing myself, like saying, as a white guy all the time, and I did it a couple times ironically here in this stream when Vin Zinker showed up. If I went around talking like that, people would wonder if I'm off my rocker or not. And they'd be justified in thinking that. The fact of the matter is that nobody cares about your identity, which is why these things fail. Get it through your skull that we don't give a fuck about you. I'm kidding. I don't care whether you slam clams, ride rockets, or you got a bone hidden beneath your skirt. Okay? I don't give a rip about any of that. It ain't my business what a consenting adult does to themselves or with another consenting adult. The issue is you want to take a medium that's primarily for children, make it about issues that are for adults, and try and to your own, what you admitted yourself, make it about helping people realize before they're an adult that they're trans. It's about agenda. It's about taking the character and doing what they want with it. Marvel and DC are dying for this. Again, don't believe me about Marvel and DC dying? Look at the colossal ass fucking they're taking from manga. Just as simple as that. You don't need to take an existing character. Okay, look. If you're going to do your issues, deal with your issues. Fine. Make something about it. Go ahead. Make your own character, though. Because we have characters we loved. We have characters that we grew up watching. And then you came in to our space because you saw it was profitable to preach your agenda in that space. And you took something we loved and you ruined it. And it's not just that I'm saying this about the Connor Kent stuff. It's about everything. It's about Marvel and how they took Marvel and then they did the all new all Marvels, or all new all different Marvel, and it failed. And when they tried to do it in the MCU, it failed again. When they tried to insert their agenda into Lord of the Rings, Tolkien fans rejected it. When they did this to Star Wars and to DC, rejected again. Witcher, rejected. Wheel of Time, rejected. People don't like this stuff. And that's why I advocate for turning to manga or independent comics. Watch A Drink with Crazy if you want some good recommendations. He goes live every Wednesday. He does comic shops. He is single-handedly responsible for introducing me to things that drain my wallet faster than anything. I had something I was going to say, but I don't think I can say that here. I'm kidding. It's not racist. Definitely not racist. The destruction of the things we love. It's too late to reverse this. It's too late to reverse course because these corporations they physically cannot fire these people. They can't get rid of them. They're stuck with these people. Because the moment they try to get... I appreciate the sentiment, but I was kidding. I know I'm not racist. Back to what I was saying. These corporations are stuck with these people. They can't fire them because the moment they do, all these diversity hires will scream racism, sexism, bigotry, and it'll get them into a huge mess. They'll cry wrongful termination in spite of the fact that these people have single-handedly destroyed, or not single-handedly, these people have collectively destroyed the companies they work for because they've driven people away from sales. The big two are stuck. Hollywood are stuck with these people. They let them in, and now they will not leave. They're squatters. They are writing room squatters, turning IPs into zombies. It's just the sad reality of all this bullshit. Sorry, just reading that chat. I don't know if you guys heard all that, but there's some okay unnecessary stuff going on in the background. If you hear anything, just ignore it. But the death of these companies doesn't have to be the end. That's what I'm getting at here. These companies are going to be replaced. Whether it be by manga or by the Iron Age. If you don't know what the Iron Age is, well, that is tonight's last section. Because it's kind of important, and there are a lot of people who seem to think that the Iron Age doesn't exist or it isn't worth your time. And I'm going to take some time to explain exactly what it means and what's going on. So basically, this post starts here. And all it says is that these people these days focus on the wrong thing. Instead of enjoying the food, they have salt bays and fake kitchen acrobatics. Staples and paper are not the main dish. If you don't know who All Caps Comics is, it's Ethan Van Sciver's company. They did Ethan Van Sciver's reboot of his creator property, of his own comic, Cyberfrog. Fun comic, by the way. I actually do like Cyberfrog. So getting into it, All Caps says, completely agree. EVS gave a quick sermon about this last night. The entire purpose of the Iron Age and Comicsgate is to nurture the possibilities and creative freedom to make better stories. That should be the entire focus of our things. Sorry, that should be the entire focus of this thing of ours. Marvel and DC have no problem offering high-end product in terms of paper at the $25 to $35 range. We also can't beat them in timeliness or convenience of purchase because they utilize direct market distribution, mass produce, and employ an army of cheap freelancers hungry to make deadline. Good news, though, those were never our complaints about the mainstream. Story and art. Read the comics. Don't fetishize the delivery process or the quality of the binding. None of that makes us unique or worth supporting. What happens when creators are free to create without political restraint and groupthink? Within that question is the possibility to make things better for art and entertainment. That should be 100% our focus. The Iron Age is about focusing on quality of storytelling and quality of entertainment. But this goes on a little bit more here to this tweet. There is no such thing as the Iron Age whatsoever. Tell me more about that. What exactly is your definition of the Iron Age? The Iron Age, a grassroots movement of creators and fans empowered by the internet, abandoning woke corporate entertainment for dead and setting out to create new for ourselves. Just a little paladin dragon in there for you. So what is the Iron Age? It's a movement of indie creators who have gotten sick of watching all the things they love be destroyed by people who couldn't give a shit. And thus they went out and made something of their own to replace the stories they lost. They're people who are dedicated strictly to greatness. There are people who are dedicated to doing things right when it comes to fiction. Now, a little history for you. Razor Fist was the first to call it the Iron Age, and it was in his Become the Culture rant. It's a great video. Go check it out. But the idea of the Iron Age is that if the mainstream media isn't going to deliver the things people want, you might as well deliver it yourself. It stands for love and passion for the things you enjoy. It stands for loving your creations, for actually putting heart and soul into it and doing the best you can. Not just preaching about agenda or some sort of social message or some political point. You're not there to deliver some sort of great piece of mental diarrhea for everyone to observe. You're there because you want to tell a story that you think people might enjoy. Because what you want to do is entertain. That is what the Iron Age is composed of. People who got sick of the mainstream being tyrants and controlling everything and having a death grip on culture and entertainment, and then going and starting their own stuff. The Rippaverse, All Caps Comics, Rise Again Comics, any number of indie projects I'll be covering here in the near future. Anvil. The Iron Age, it doesn't just exist. It's important. Because it shows that in spite of the fact that corporations and nefarious people control all the stuff you love, you can still go out there and make something you love or find something to love again. There is plenty of great stuff to be found out there on Indiegogo, on Kickstarter, on Fund My Comic. Plenty of random projects that are absolutely worth your time. And it's good because it shows that you can break away from the mainstream, that you can break away from their control, and you can stick it to them and tell them that they can't control you, that you're done with them, and that you're not giving them any more of your money, that they can no longer hijack the things you love. Now, the consequence of the Iron Age is that a lot of fandoms are going to get fractured. You're probably not going to see a lot of the massive properties that we're used to. Stuff like Star Wars or Star Trek and all that. There may be a few here and there, but a lot of them might be more niche than you'd think. Which is why I recommend you check out A Drink with Crazy, because you can find a lot of good stuff on there, ranging through all different kinds of genres. You can find noir mystery, you can find straight up adventure comics, you can find manga-esque comics, web novels, all kinds of stuff. Because people are done being controlled. And they're going to create. And now that the mainstream is realizing that there are avenues for people to go and create outside of their control, they're fucking pissed. They spent all this time invading a sandbox so that they could monopolize the sandbox and control who's allowed to do what in it. And then someone went and made their own sandbox. Not just one person, hundreds of people went and made their own sandboxes because they were sick and tired. They were sick and tired of being forced to read this slop, to consume things they didn't want to, seeing their favorite characters destroyed. And they took the lessons they learned and they applied it to making something they actually liked. This is what the Iron Age is. It's striking back at the people who took all of our favorite stories away from us. It's striking back at the people who hate us and want us out of the properties that we made popular because they think they can do better, because they think they know what's best for everyone. And most oftentimes they think that it just involves turning everything into a mirror that reflects them. So you can look at today's state of fiction as a sad day where everything died. Or you can choose to look at it as a shift, which it most definitely is. The paradigm has shifted. Indie creators are on the rise, and they are absolutely worth your money. And if you don't have a whole lot of money to spend, there are still other options. You can go for it. I'm a huge manga guy. Manga are not that expensive. You can get a Tonkabon book for anywhere from $6 to $12. Far cheaper than anything you get out of a, indie comic, but some of these are just absolutely fantastic. Seriously, if you haven't watched my video for the week, go check it out. Talk about this comic and this one. They're both great. The mantra has been, we will win. And it's not just we will win, it is, we kind of are winning. Our small little victories come in the forms of successful launches and establishing new fan bases. The Rippaverse, Anvil, all caps, Rise Again, establishing these new fandoms. Marvel and DC have inflicted a fatal wound on themselves, and they won't recover. So it's no point in sitting here hoping that it will ever go back to the way it was. Because the odds of that happening are slim to none. You would have to carve out years of rot, reboot years of storytelling, and incur the wrath of just about every SJW who doesn't give a fuck about comics, but pretends to. If you're into indie, it's a good time. It's a good time to be alive. Because there's a lot of great stuff. But I think I'm going to call it a wrap on that tonight because I hit all of my topics. I covered everything I wanted to talk about. I feel like I'm getting at least a little bit more organized on this stuff. Again, this is only episode 3. I'm doing this solo. But it is what it is. I'm going to talk about what I want to talk about, and if I ever find someone I can get on here on a couple of these episodes. Maybe I will have a couple of guests sometime. It'd be fun to talk just indie and anime. But thank you for your time. To everyone who tuned in, Vinzinger, Black, Daimyo, all of you. I really appreciate everything. I really appreciate you even giving me the smallest amount of time to come tune in. It means a lot, really, to see you guys show up to chat with me. But that's about it. That's all I have to say. And I'm going to end it on that note. So see you later. Check out my channel. You know where to find me. You can also find me on Twitter at Crimson. You'll see me. I got my little lizard man profile there if you want to go check me out. You can go follow me. I'd appreciate that. It would be cool to have you tune in. But other than that, you are awesome. So thank you for your time, for tuning in, and for chatting. Peace.